Hey everyone, welcome back. You were sharing some really interesting stuff with me about smart factories, and it seems like manufacturing is going through like this massive digital transformation, and I gotta say I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, it's not just a shift, really, more like a full-blown revolution? And what's really fascinating is it's not coming from where you might think.
Right. It's like you see headlines about Silicon Valley, all these tech companies, but then you dig into it and it's like, wait, manufacturing is actually leading this whole digital transformation thing.
It seems kind of surprising at first, but when you consider all the challenges manufacturers are facing these days, it starts to make sense, right? I mean, you've got globalization, supply chains that are, well, let's just say fragile, and then this massive push for sustainability.
Right.
They've got to adapt, right? Yeah, it's like they're in this perfect storm. And the research you said, it really highlights that this constant pressure to be more efficient, deal with all these global disruptions, and oh, yeah, save the planet while they're at it.
And here's the thing, those pressures, they're not going away. If anything, it's getting more intense. Consumers want everything cheaper, faster, customized, and good for the planet too. So manufacturers have to find every advantage they can, which is where this whole digital transformation comes in.
Totally. There was this quote in one of the articles, it was from a CEO, and he said, if you're standing still, you're moving backward. And wow, that really hit home for me, especially in this environment.
Absolutely. I mean, holding on to those old ways of doing things, it just won't cut it anymore. But the really exciting part is this isn't just about survival, right? It's about unlocking possibilities that, frankly, we couldn't have imagined before.
Yeah, and that's what really clicked for me. It's not just about robots taking over, though. I gotta say, that part is pretty cool. The research you sent, it kept coming back to data as being the real game changer here.
It's true. We're at this point where we can gather and analyze data from, well, practically everywhere on the factory floor. And for manufacturers, particularly the smaller ones, this is huge.
Yeah.
Like they can finally get these incredibly detailed insights into how their operations are actually running, which was just impossible before.
Okay, so, like, give me an example. What does this whole data superpower actually look like in action?
So picture this. You're on the factory floor, and suddenly there's a bottleneck in the production line. Now, in the past, you might have spent, I don't know, hours, even days just trying to figure out what was going on. But now, with real-time data analytics, you can see the problem right away. Like,
Yeah.
boom, it's right there, down to the specific machine or process that's causing the holdup, and you even get suggestions on how to fix it.
See, now that's what I'm talking about. One of the articles even mentioned using data to decide, like, which equipment to keep using and which stuff to just get rid of. No more guessing games, right?
Exactly. Instead of going with their gut or relying on some outdated spreadsheet, manufacturers can actually make these informed decisions based on, hard data. They can see which pieces of equipment are rocking it, which ones are just eating up resources, and where they should invest to get the biggest bang for their buck. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
And speaking of working smarter, it's not just the machines that benefit from all this data, is it?
You're spot on, and that's a really important point.
Mhm.
This isn't about getting rid of people and replacing them with robots. It's about giving your workforce, the actual people doing the work, the information and the tools they need to be amazing at their jobs.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting,
Mhm.
because that's what really gets people thinking, right?
It's the big question, yeah. Like, with all this talk about robots and AI taking over, what happens to the actual people in manufacturing?
It's a worry for sure, but the research you shared, it actually paints a much brighter picture. This isn't about, pushing people out the door. It's about giving them tools to be even better at what they do.
Okay, so like giving them data-powered superpowers, I like that, but what does that actually look like on the ground?
Well, think about all those tasks in manufacturing that are, kind of tedious, the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you could free people up from that. Let them focus on, I don't know, solving problems, coming up with new ideas.
So let's just follow the instructions more, figure out a better way to do it. I can see how that'd be a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's not just about the individual jobs either. The research talked a lot about how companies are using data to build a work environment where everyone's more connected and informed. So from the folks on the factory floor all the way up to the executives, everyone's got access to the same real-time information, which means better communication, better decisions, no matter what your role is.
Okay, so paint a picture for me. What's a real-world example of that?
Sure. Imagine you've got workers on the factory floor,
Right.
right? And they've all got tablets, and these tablets are hooked directly into the machines, showing them exactly how everything's running right now in real time. If a machine starts acting up, even a little bit, they see it instantly. So they can catch problems before they become big, expensive disasters.
Mm.
And they can even like video chat with engineers who are off-site to get help figuring out a solution. That's the power of the data-driven culture.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's like you're taking all that guesswork and delay out of the equation, but I'm guessing this kind of shift, it's more than just handing everyone a tablet and saying, go for it, right?
Yeah.
You've got to get people thinking about data in a whole new way.
You're absolutely right. The tech is just one piece of the puzzle. The companies that are really nailing this are investing in training, teaching their people how to understand and use all this data they have. And they're also building a culture where everyone feels comfortable speaking up, sharing their ideas, because everyone has valuable insights, right?
So it's not enough to just have the data. It's about making sure people feel confident and ready to use it.
Exactly. It's about showing your team that they're not, just cogs in the machine. They're valuable partners in this whole digital transformation thing. And the research is really clear about this. When people feel heard, when they feel empowered, they're more engaged, they're more productive, and they're way more open to trying new things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's about showing them the why behind the what and making sure they understand that these changes are going to make their jobs better, not make their jobs disappear.
Exactly. It's not about replacing human expertise. It's about making that expertise even more powerful.
Okay, I am convinced. Sign me up. But I know our listeners are probably thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but where do I even start?
And that's a great question because a lot of the articles you shared had some really practical advice from manufacturers, no matter where they are on this whole smart factory journey. And one thing that kept popping up was,
So for those of us who are ready to, dive into this whole digital thing, where do we even begin?
well, the good news is you don't have to do everything at once, right? One of the biggest mistakes companies make is they get so caught up in the hype, all the cool new tech, that they forget to actually think about what they're trying to solve.
Right, it's like they say, don't bring a robot to a spreadsheet fight. Sometimes the best solution is the simplest one.
Exactly. Start by figuring out what your biggest pain points are. Where are things slowing you down? What's costing you money? What's giving everyone a headache? Once you know what those are, then you can start looking for the tech that actually addresses those specific challenges.
So start with the problem, not the solution.
Exactly. And once you've got a handle on the solutions that make sense for you, don't skimp on the planning. This isn't like flipping a switch, right? It's a process, a journey. Break it down into smaller steps, set realistic goals, and be ready to adjust course along the way.
Because if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that the manufacturing world is constantly changing, right?
100%. Being able to adapt quickly is essential. But just as important as planning is tracking your progress. Remember all that data we were talking about. It's not just for running your factory, it's for seeing how far you've come. So set up some clear ways to measure your progress so you can see what's working, what's not, and make adjustments along the way.
That reminds me, there was something else in the research about the importance of actually celebrating your wins, even the small ones.
Oh, absolutely. This whole digital transformation thing, it can be a long haul, and there can be bumps in the road. So it's crucial to stop and acknowledge those successes, celebrate what you've accomplished as a team. It keeps the momentum going, keeps everyone motivated.
And I guess never stop learning. Right.
Never. This industry is always evolving. Make it a priority to stay on top of what's new, what's changing, what everyone else is doing. Go to conferences, talk to other people in the industry, read everything you can get your hands on, whatever it takes to stay ahead of the curve.
So to recap, start with the problem, plan carefully, track your progress, celebrate the wins, and never stop learning. No, that doesn't sound so daunting when you put it like that.
It's definitely doable. And in the end, it's not even just about technology, right? It's about building a better future for manufacturing. More efficient, more sustainable, and honestly, more human-centered too.
That's a great point to end on. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all these incredible insights. This deep dive into the world of smart factories has been truly eye-opening.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners, thanks for coming along on this journey with us. We hope you've learned a thing or two and maybe even feel inspired to start your own smart factory adventure. Until next time, keep those machines running.